What about Satisfy? Satisfy running, based in Paris, France. Brice Partouche, 2025. You buying or
Yeah,
selling?
again, if we're being emotionless, heavy buy, heavy buy. I mean, they're just starting to hit
Yeah.
their stride with mainstream growth. This is kind of where my early adopter syndrome kicks in, and I'm a bit more jaded about the heavy buy because what that means is now that
Yeah.
they're moving away from early adopters like myself. Um, I mean, the brand's been around since like what, 2015, 2016. I've been engaged since.
I was surprised to learn
Yeah,
that. When you sent me those
yeah,
videos from way back when speaking Jamil Curry was running
right,
in Salt Lake, which
right.
kind of bugged
Yeah,
me for that old Satisfy
yeah.
video. I was surprised. I didn't know that.
That's what I mean. They're not just popping up overnight, right, and becoming
Yeah.
a mainstream player. Now, what it is basically they're courting the attention of the mainstream players. And so,
Yeah.
what I loved about it was you had somebody like Michael Versteeg, who was a bit of a mysterious character still, as the focal point. And now I think we're starting to see them pivot, and not that necessarily Debo is going to become anything official with Satisfy, but he's certainly the one. Every time he's talking on Second Nature or getting a microphone, he's excited to name drop Satisfy. And I don't think there's anybody that
Mm.
represents the counter image of Michael Versteeg than Debo. And so that's where I'm
Totally.
jaded, right? Is like they're courting
Yeah.
the mainstream attention now just for an economic growth. But again, the segment is about buy sell. So if I'm an investor, I'm
Yeah.
buying.
I don't think there's one early adopter in Satisfy that would ever refer to themselves in the third person. Is that
Right.
right? Calling themselves Debo and having the name Debo and saying, "Here's your boy
Right.
Debo." All those sort of things don't feel like Satisfy early
No.
adoption. Okay, yeah. In 2025, as a wise investor, I'm absolutely buying because what you say. So when you look at like the whole scale of consumers that are within your target demographic, you have the cutting edge 2.5% would never touch any product. They would see the MothTech and they would say, "Ah, I can do that myself at home. I can create this at home. I can build this at home." And it's about the product. But then that next 2.5%, they're early adopters, and that's who they always are. So anytime anything grows beyond early adoption, they generally abandon it's a strong word, but they don't travel with their brands into like the fans of Green Day and 1039 Smooth Out Slappy Hours and Kerplunk from like 88 to 92 did not go with them to Dookie and
Right.
beyond. They just don't. They found their next one. So I think with Satisfy in the year 2025, their early adopters are going to publicly disown them and separate themselves from them. But that's okay. That's what happens. Apple's early adopters did that. And so they're moving into this next range, which is like 18 to 20% of the market. And they're going there. And the reason I'm buying as a savvy investor ultimately is for the shoe that's going to come out. I believe in that shoe. I think it's going to, from a performance standpoint, combine performance with their brand, and I think that's going to be a good year for them because of the shoe specifically.
So let me ask you this then,
Jean Marc Dijon.
as a question here. Do you see that shoe
Yeah.
being on a podium? I don't know that.
Okay, that's a good question, but I think of that more as a business
Right.
question. Can their athletes podium? Because yes, in like Moab 240, clearly, it has potential to be on the 200 plus podium. They're in that world. If someone were to wear it, if the great runner were to wear it, absolutely. If it's Jean Marc Dijon, I'm just who built the mountain running, converted it to trail running at Solomon, went on and he's responsible for the current portfolio at North Face and went on to Satisfy. I think that the only barrier to it being on a podium is purely who's wearing it. I think the shoe would hold up. That's my guess. I don't know enough. I'm not the guy to be able to explain the tech behind it. I'm just saying that the person behind it has a pretty good track record.
Yeah. I guess I'll temper my excitement because in the early designs, it looks like some decisions have been made that are with a marketing mind, like Brees basically,
Mm,
tying it into a remote control car. And, so
yeah.
I don't necessarily know that high performance was the absolute number one priority. It does look like there
Yeah.
were, maybe some concessions made in some areas, or, you know, make sure that it
Yeah.
fits within these parameters, because I already know how I want to market it, and the design has to apply to that. So we'll see.
Yeah. 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 That's totally fair. I think one final note, as I'm never an early adopter in almost anything. I've never been the guy that's early to the game. I wish I could be more often. I will say that some of Satisfy's marketing that I found to be interesting, though I've never been in the demo. I've just really admired what was happening. Some of that is starting to feel a bit like a caricature of
Right.
itself. And again, I'm an outsider looking in. I'm not the center of that demo. I'm a celebrate. I celebrate Brees's entrepreneurship in this space, but some of it sometimes feels a bit like cosplay.
Yeah.
So there it is. So, but I'm buying and I'm for them, and I think they're going to have a great year. And their athletes seem to be like salt of the earth, good people. So they've done an awesome job building their athlete team.
Totally.